Alright, welcome everybody. In today's video, we're going to go over the best settings, in my opinion, for Farlight 84. Farlight 84 Season 11 is currently going on now. I honestly think that the settings that I have are the best settings if you like slow sensitivity. Not too slow and not too fast, but like a little below the median. Now I've experimented with a few different DPIs. 800 seems to be the kind of general good, sensitivity for your mouse. And keep in mind these are PC settings. And so let's get into the settings. Alright, so normally I'm just running here. For the damage numbers, I like to do combined. I don't know, it's just a preference from when I was playing Apex Legends that I like to have them combined, but combined. I like to have the damage numbers combined. You can have them stacked or floating. It really doesn't matter. I would suggest keeping them on just so you know how much damage you do. You can turn it off, sure. Will it increase your invisibility? I don't know why I said invisibility. You can cut it off. And sure, it will increase your visibility in the game, but you're not going to know how much damage you're actually doing to the opponent. So you definitely want to keep it on one. I like to do combined, and it's just a preference. It doesn't really matter. I guess what looks best on your screen and what gives you the best visibility for your actual game. Now, squad notifications, I just keep all that stuff on just to allow people to, spectate and allow mutual followers, because I'm not the type of player that's, going to be like, oh, you can't play with me. If we had a good game and you liked me as a teammate, then by all means, you should be able to hit that follow button. Maybe we can play some games every now and then. Streamer mode, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't fixed it. Once you turn that on, it makes everybody else's name streamer mode, not yours. So to them, you're still, like for me, crushing your soul. Everyone else is just player 1, player 2, so you don't know who you're playing against. It doesn't make sense. It's not a traditional streamer mode. That's how it was when they implemented it. I have not turned it on since they implemented it. Did they fix it for the new season? I don't know. I can try that out and do that in a video if that's what people would prefer. Highlights, keep it off. It's just going to randomly record stuff on your computer. Not only will it make your computer run high, it's also going to create, let's just say it's going to make your computer run a little bit heavier and high. It even says here you can access your in-game highlights and battle record, where they are automatically stored for 7 days for you to replay at any time. Each replay uses around 5 megabytes, depending on available storage. Please note that this feature might lead to device lag, heat, and increased power consumption. So even there, it tells you don't do it. Especially if you're like me, running on a basic computer, nothing crazy, and trying to make your computer last as long as possible. This game really doesn't run your computer settings crazy. But if you turn that on, it probably would cause some issues. Enemy outline border, I have it on. I mean, I like my enemies to be outlined. Like I said, I don't have the best equipment, and when I had a regular 60 hertz monitor playing on for the longest, anything helps. Graphics, I got it on full screen. Extreme, just because I upgraded and have a 144 hertz monitor now. Still a Walmart brand monitor, but it's pretty good. I mean, gaming on a budget. Frame rate, I put it on very high. But if you start to notice your game lagging, like the other day we were having server issues on the game, so I turned this down. And I turned actually this down to like HDR and turned this down to high, and my game started running smoother until the server issues cleared out. So if your game's having server issues and it's not necessarily your computer, try lowering these, and you actually might wind up being able to beat the system while everyone else is lagging. You might be running through those lobbies just destroying people. The visual style, I just always keep it at default. Some people like to have it on fresh or realistic, but I just run default. I'm thinking about actually changing it up and trying fresh or realistic, but anti-aliasing, I don't know if I pronounced that right. I just had it on. Alright, now to the actual settings. My mouse sensitivity is at 1.25 overall in game. And before I go in any further detail, I was probably like you are that are watching this video. You played on the actual settings that the game had. I think it was in-game setting was a 3.0, and I didn't know much about like changing in game, like how to change it in game without affecting my gameplay, because I got pretty good with the basic DPI that was given. So if you're like me and started out with the average 3.0 DPI and you were missing a lot of your shots because it was too fast of a DPI, try this. Or sensitivity, try this. So it's 800 DPI on my mouse. So in whatever, like me, I have a HyperX mouse. Whatever, like the HyperX system, I went in, changed it to 800 DPI, which that's what I changed it when I was playing Apex Legends. And if you want to learn how to mantle jump on Apex Legends, I'll put up a video on my YouTube as well for that. I posted that a while back ago, but it's a really simple way of mantle jumping. But that set aside, we're on Farlight 84. So let's go into the advanced settings. Now I've given my settings to 2 or 3 players. A brand new player whose skill drastically increased and he got to ace pretty quick. And then for somebody that was already a top player in the US, at least on the duo side, he was playing on the basic settings and he was good. But then when I gave him my settings, DPI settings, he got way better, which he became a menace. So that being said, you should definitely, if you're using basic settings and you're missing a lot of your shots, you should try this out. So here we go. So I always just keep the tactical skill at 100 and ultimate sensitivity at 100 and standard view at 100. Okay, for the reason for this is whenever you have your gun out or go and put away, you want to be able to look around pretty fast, because the sensitivity that I have it at is already low, but once you start messing with these, you're making it even lower. Okay, so you want it to be able to look left or right or 360 without your mouse going off your desk. So I found that this was at 1.25, this keeping it at 100% is the best bet for me. Now, shoulder aim view. Now this is going to be your aim when you're ADSing without a scope. So if you don't have a 1x, 2x on it, this is just iron sights. It is going to be this speed, but it's also going to be your hip fire speed. So whenever you're not ADSing and you're using hip fire, which in this game you should be hip firing more than ADSing when you're up close. The game it thrives on hip fire. They did nerf that, so a couple weapons don't work the same like they used to, but there's still good weapons out there where you can hip fire. So I put this down to 43%. So think about it. If I have it at 100%, it's going to be 1.25 at 800 DPI. So I lowered this down to 43%. I found that being a sweet spot for me to be able to still move consistently. Now remember, even if I have my gun out and I'm looking around, I have my standard view, ultimate sensitivity at 100%. So I'm still going to be looking around at 800 DPI 1.25. But once I start shooting, it's going to immediately slow down. So you're looking like this with your weapon, and then once you start shooting, it's going to go from this to this. Okay, so that just kind of being a visual. Now, and the only reason I'm going further in depth, this could be a short video, and I'm going to probably make it shorter for a short. But to explain that, a lot of people don't know the difference. So the red dot and my 2x, I just usually keep them the same. I really should lower the 2x just because the 2x is it spawns more on the map. so I'm having to put it on my weapons, like my snipers when I use them. So I probably will wind up lowering this just a little bit, maybe like 2%, maybe to 48%, but for now it's going to stay at 50. My red dot, I keep it at 50. It's perfect for me whenever I'm using the red dots for my ump, my Jupiter. Feels great. Now I drastically lower my 4x, so I don't use the 4x on my ARs that much, but when I do, it's going to be super slow. 17% is going to be slow, but the reason I use that is because 9 times out of 10 most players use a 4x on their snipers, so to be able to like track it, I utilize this, right? So keep in mind we're on camera view right now, though. I know I've been talking about shooting and all that stuff like that, but this is just camera view right here. And the reason why I'm talking about shooting as well is because my firing is going to be the same. It's going to be the complete same. So just if there's any confusion of why I'm on camera talking about shooting, it's because this is going to be the same as this. And the reason for that is you want your muscle memory to know the exact speed when you're not firing and when you're firing, so you can get used to the sensitivity a lot quicker. So 17% for the 4x. So this is just camera view. So when you're ADS and not shooting, you're going to be going at 17%. It's going to be slow. And it's going to be the same as shooting. So that means you're going to, whatever you're looking and tracking someone at is the same speed you're going to be shooting. So you don't have to worry about, like, let's say red dot. If I'm looking down the red dot, ADSing, I want it to be 50% shooting, 50% ADS, so my muscle memory, it doesn't get wonky. That being said, 10% on the 8x. Now it doesn't feel like 10%. I could lower it a lot more. The 8x, I don't know. I think it has something to do with the zoom. That the zoom in, it just seems different. Like 10% feels like it's faster than 17% whenever I'm using 8x. But 8x at 10%, I'm able to kind of flick the targets and just kind of flick to them and be able to track them pretty decently. So that's a decent. Now keep in mind this is camera. It's going to be complete same. So we're going to switch over. I'm going to show it to you even though I've already explained it. As you can see, standard view is 100. Shoulder aim's the same, 43. 43. Red dot, same, 50. 50. 50. 50. 4x for firing, 17 and 10 for the 8. 17, 10. Now, vehicle settings, you can literally just keep those the same. You do not have to change those. It's not going to make a difference. You can go and change them to your sensitivities because if you can see, driver's view, vehicle weapon, continuous fire, you can keep those at 100. Your vehicle 2x, you could drop it because if you notice that, well, once you get in game with the sensitivity and don't change this, you'll notice that your shooting in a vehicle is going to be completely different. And the reason why I never changed them is just because I don't really shoot in a vehicle and I don't really utilize the vehicles that much unless I'm driving to get on, to a certain destination, and then I get out and fight. I don't fight in vehicles. I do a lot of soloing, so it really didn't bother me. But if I was going to change it, I would change the 2x scope and the 2x firing to the same, 50%. The vehicle 4x, probably change it to 17 and 17. These need to be the same because this is going to be your when you're scoping, when you're looking at ADSing speed, and the firing speed needs to stay the same, and then the same for the 8x. If I was to change it, but I'm not going to. Now that overall, I'll quickly show my bind keys. They're literally the same. The only thing I've changed was I really changed was I'll show you when I get to it. So it's just the basic thing. You get used to the settings. You don't really need to change anything. I played Apex Legends, so left control, like hitting it with the bottom of my left finger, my pinky, is easy for me. I don't have a problem with it because I can spam crouch if I need to. So I don't need to change that to something different. I don't like auto run because whenever using characters like Phantom, if you have auto run on, then you're going to be able to be seen invisible. I like to be able to tap the left shift to be able to run, and then let go of it to walk. It's always been like PUBG, Apex, always been the same. So obviously WSAD, and then Q and E for the same horizontal and vertical flying. The running, left shift, space, jump, control, sprint. Now I swap my weapons with my scroll wheel. I keep it the same. I don't hit one or two. It has messed me up in a game before where it just over scrolled, but for me it's just easier whenever you're to have your fingers available to hit the Q and E to be able to hit the horizontal left jump for me to keep it on there. Now if you're used to hitting 1 and 2 from Apex, PUBG, things like that, then keep it the same. Firing, same. It's just a basic, all basic right here. So I took 3 off, and I believe I used 3 for something else, if I'm not mistaken. I'll let you know. But my normal meg hit, shield, and chargers and all that are the same, but the difference is I use my mouse button right here for my item lottery. The item lottery is going to be my top button on my mouse right here. This one. I believe that's button 4, if I'm not mistaken. But I hold it and then I can literally move my mouse like this and pick what I want, click on it. So whenever I'm fighting, all I have to do is tap that button. Whatever I selected will automatically do it, which for me is big shields. I use the big shields because I know that if I get in a fight and I'm having purple, orange, or red armor, I'm gonna wanna hit it bad. You know, in terms of Apex, I'm gonna hit the big battery, the big shield. Everything else is the same. I just put my stickers on B. So I can, emote on people. The ultimate skills, Z and C, everything's the same. Everything is the same. Loot list, still the same. All generic. Everything's good. And then, of course, the marking. But generic, change of weapons, I use the scroll wheel. All right, that is my very long, tedious, almost 20-minute video going into detail, and I'll probably split it up into different video. I'll probably edit a video where I'm just talking about like DPI settings rather than other things, but for the overall, that's the best settings in my personal opinion for those that want to not miss their shots, that like lower sensitivities and don't always want to play at a high sensitivity. Then I think that this is probably a good setting. Now keep this in mind. Try this setting. If you don't like it, that's what these settings are for. Go in and change it by 1 or 2% and then go try it out, because it'll make a drastic difference. If this is too slow for you or too fast for you, either too slow, go up a percent or two, too fast, go down a percent or two. But you can use this as a range to adjust to not only yourself but to the game as well. If you're playing on 3.0 DPI, you are not playing to your fullest ability. Like, you might be really good, don't get me wrong, you might be dropping 20 bombs. Imagine if you actually not missed all those shots or had to reload or use Maggie's tactical to roll just to reload because you missed a few hip fire shots because your sensitivity is too high. Imagine you hitting that whole clip and then using that roll reload to use another clip and not missing on the second person if you're playing duos. But even if you're playing squads, that's 2 people down. Instant. Keep that in mind. And if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button. Hopefully you don't hit the dislike button, but if you feel like you didn't like the video or that it didn't help you, you can hit the dislike button. But all I'm asking, if you hit the dislike button, please go in the comments and tell me the reason why you hit the dislike button so I can get better as a content creator and a YouTuber. Thank you guys. Everyone have a wonderful day, and thanks for sticking around for my video on the best settings for Farlight 84 on season 11.